Hi, thanks for coming to this video and finding out more about the discussion director role of discussion circles. I'm really proud that you are taking a hold of your education and trying to find out more about this role. Quick review of discussion circles. Excuse my dogs in the background. Discussion circles are a way for you to learn about your novel. Instead of me sitting in front of the class for 45 minutes talking about the novel, you get to talk about the novel with 3, 4, or 5 of your fellow students. Everybody reads the same book in your discussion circle, but the first time we're all going to do the same roles. After that, you're going to rotate roles between the different roles. When you meet with your group, the discussion leader, which is your job this week, is going to kind of be in charge of the group for that week, and every person is going to share their role with the rest of the group. Again, when we do this because you get to talk about the book instead of me talking about it, and it makes you responsible for reading. If you don't read the book, it's kind of obvious, and it really breaks down the discussion. So you have to do your reading, and you have to fill out your role sheet. You can also talk about this in a smaller group, which makes your voice heard, which means you have to talk, but it makes your voice heard, and you have a say in what's going on in the book. And it also helps you decide what's important in the book. It doesn't matter what I think about the book. It doesn't matter what parts are important to me, because I've already made that decision for myself. You need to make that decision for yourself as you're reading. Here is a review of the literature circle roles: the discussion leader, which you are this week, the vocabulary selector, the text connector, the passage master, and the illustrator. When you're the discussion leader, you are kind of in charge of the group for this week. You're responsible for deciding and guiding the group conversation, and you're responsible for generating questions that are going to spark discussion. We're going to ask 2 different question types to accomplish this. You're going to ask thin questions and thick questions. Thin questions have 1 or 2 word answers usually, and there's usually 1 right answer, but there might be 1 or 2 right answers, but that's about it. The answers can always be found in the text for thin questions. So when you write your question, you're going to write your question. When we discuss your questions, your thin questions, you're going to have the group open up their books, find the answer, point to the answer in their books, and that's how they're going to answer that question. Thick questions, on the other hand, have a limited number of answers. And and those questions don't necessarily have a right or wrong answer. There's a myriad of answers that can be given for thick questions. You're going to combine your knowledge or what you think the answer is with information from the text that supports your answer. So if you ask a thick question, I might have one answer, and the person next to me might have a totally different answer. But as long as we can both support our answers from the text, with support from the text, then neither one of us is wrong. Jetty, come here. All right, so when you write thin questions, you're going to use sentence starters like your 5 W's: who, what, where, when, okay? You might say, name the character that had a problem in this section. You might say, list the characters that we've met so far in the book. You might say, choose which character you think is the main character. And again, you should be able to open the book, point to the answer, and find it right there with 1 or 2 words. Thick questions use starters such as why, how. So why do you think the character decided to take that action? How do you think the character's action is going to impact the rest of the story? Compare or contrast the differences between the antagonist and the protagonist. That question has the potential to be thick or thin. It depends how you word it, and it depends what's going on in your story. So just keep that one in mind. Explain why the character made the decision that he or she made. Discuss the impact of the main character's friend's action. Imagine you were the main character. How would you have dealt with the situation? Prove that the main character made a correct decision or an incorrect decision. And when you're really stuck, or if you're really stuck, you can always ask, what do you think about? What do you think about a character's decision within the story? And this doesn't just have to be character-based either. This can be author-based. So you can say, what do you think about the author's decision to put the main character in that situation? Or what do you think about the author's decision to tell the story from the first person point of view rather than the third person point of view? So that any of your questions that you ask, especially your thick questions, can kind of focus on either what's going on in the book or decisions that the author made. So here's a comparison chart for thick and thin questions, and this is based off a book that you may have read, but you might not have, but you can kind of just look at it for comparison. So if you can ask a thin question, how many students were involved in the wave? And that's something where you can open the book, find an answer, there are a blank amount of students involved in the wave, and you can point to it, and there's your answer. As opposed to the thick question that says, why do you think so many students joined the wave? Okay, you might be able to find some of those answers in the book, but you also might have to make some inferences, draw some conclusions, read between the lines as to why some of the people joined the wave as opposed to people that didn't. You could ask a thin question, did Mr. Ross stop the wave? Okay, regardless if you read the book or not, you know that there's two possible answers to that question, yes or no, and they're both one-word answers. So there's not a lot of discussion going on there. As opposed to, do you think Mr. Ross did the right thing by stopping the wave? Why or why not? Okay, and again, one person can say he did do the right thing, one person can say he didn't do the right thing, and as long as you can support your reasoning with the text, you can both conceivably be correct. That is a quick review of thin or thick questions, and I want to show you what the roll sheet looks like for this role. Here's your heading. Make sure you fill that out. Here's where the QR code that you hit already to get here, so you know what that is. Here's a little quick review and a few stems for you. Here's space for you to write your two thin questions. And again, you're going to write your questions here. You're not going to write the answer, though. Your group is responsible for finding the answer. But for the thin questions, every once in a while, I'll see people put page 56, wherever you find the answer, just so you can find it. But write that really small so your group doesn't see it because they're responsible for finding it. And here's room for you to write your thick questions. And again, you don't need to write the answer for this. And you're really not going to give your answers for your thick questions unless you become part of your group discussion and after everyone in your group gets time to chime in. But you should have an idea of what you think the answer is. Here is where we're asking you for the main idea, because main idea is one of our focuses for the year and our foci. And what you're going to write is who is the main actor and what is the main action that they've been taking to move the story along in this section. And here's where you write an I wonder statement. And I wonder statements could be a question that you have about anything. I wonder why that character was so stupid. I wonder why she ran into the forest at night with high heels on and when she saw that someone was following her. Sorry, those are my dogs. Guys, in the last part that you're going to fill out while you're reading is the problem report. Guys, everybody has problems when they read. I do, whether I'm reading something easy or whether I'm reading something hard. This is a normal thing. It's a normal occurrence when you read. And your problem could be something where you're reading along and you kind of lose track of where you are, or you have to go back and kind of reread something twice. And sometimes it's more complicated than that. So I want you to write the page that you had your problem on. It doesn't have to be your first problem, but it can be. The paragraph where it was. Where you think you had a problem, you didn't understand, a vocabulary word got you caught up, which is probably going to be the case most of the time, and how you dealt with it. And all you have to do is circle this or kind of check it off. And we're going to kind of work on these and discuss these and learn how to work through our mistakes as the year goes on. So sorry for the barking dogs, and thanks for coming on and watching this video. If you have any questions, you can email me, you can hit me up on Remind, or you can ask me in class when you see me again. Have a great day.